Catherine Zeta-Jones, a name that once defined elegance, power, and undeniable screen presence. A woman who didn't just enter Hollywood, she took control of it. From a small town in Wales to the biggest stages in the world, she built a legacy that most people can only dream of. An Oscar, a Tony, a BAFTA. For years, she was the definition of beauty and talent combined. The kind of star who didn't need to try to be unforgettable. But behind that image, there was a story the world never really saw. Not glamorous, not perfect, but quiet, painful, and deeply human. Because while the spotlight made her look untouchable, she was fighting something no fame could protect her from. And the truth is, her hardest battles were never on screen. Long before the awards, before the red carpets, before the name everyone recognized, there was just a young girl in Swansea, Wales. Catherine Zeta-Jones grew up in a simple, working-class home. Her father worked hard to provide. Her mother stitched clothes with her own hands. There was no connection to Hollywood, no shortcuts, no safety net, but there was something else, a certainty. From a very young age, she knew she was meant for more. At just 9 years old, she stepped onto a stage, and something changed, not just for her, for everyone watching, because she didn't perform like a child trying to act. She performed like someone who already belonged there. By the age of 15, she made a decision most people wouldn't dare to make. She left home, left her family, left everything familiar, and moved to London alone to chase something she couldn't even guarantee. That wasn't courage. That was belief. The kind of belief that doesn't wait for permission. The early years were far from glamorous. Small roles, long rehearsals, empty seats in cold theaters. She struggled. She was overlooked. She fought for every opportunity. But she didn't stop. And eventually, people started noticing. Her breakout role in British television changed everything overnight. Suddenly, she wasn't invisible anymore. She was magnetic. And it didn't take long before Hollywood came calling. When she stepped into international cinema, she didn't ease into it. She arrived. The Mask of Zorro introduced her to the world. Entrapment followed. And then came Chicago, the role that changed everything. Her performance wasn't just good. It was commanding, unforgettable, and it earned her an Academy Award. The girl who once left home at 15 had reached the top. From the outside, her life looked perfect. Fame, success, a powerful marriage to one of Hollywood's biggest icons, Michael Douglas. Together, they became something bigger than individuals. They became an image, the perfect couple. And for a while, it seemed real. But perfection is often just what people choose to show. Because behind that image, her reality was far more complicated. There was pressure. Constant, relentless, filming schedules that never slowed down, public attention that never disappeared, expectations that never lowered. And then, there was something else, something harder to explain. There were days she felt unstoppable, full of energy, ideas flowing endlessly, confidence at its peak. And then, without warning, everything would shift, a heaviness, a silence inside her own mind. Moments where even getting out of bed felt impossible. She didn't understand it. She couldn't explain it. But she felt it. Again and again. While the world admired her strength, she was quietly struggling to hold everything together. And then life added more weight. Her husband's health began to decline. A cancer diagnosis that changed everything overnight. Suddenly, she wasn't just managing her own internal battles. She had to be strong for someone else. In public, she stood beside him, calm, composed, unshaken. But privately, she was breaking, because being strong for someone else, while falling apart yourself, is a different kind of pain, one that very few people truly understand. Eventually, it became too much to carry alone. In 2011, she did something that most people in her position would never do. She told the truth. She admitted she was struggling, and she checked into treatment, not for attention, not for headlines, but because she needed help. She was diagnosed with bipolar II disorder, a condition many people misunderstand. It's not always visible, not always dramatic. Sometimes it looks like high energy, productivity, success, and other times, it feels like being completely lost inside your own mind. For someone in Hollywood, admitting that kind of truth is a risk. Careers have ended over less, and people around her knew it. But she chose honesty anyway, and that choice changed everything. Because recovery isn't a straight line. It doesn't end with one decision. It doesn't disappear after one moment of courage. There were setbacks. There were returns to treatment. Moments where progress felt like it was slipping away. But she didn't quit. She kept going. Quietly. Without needing the world to understand every step. Over time, something shifted. Not in a dramatic way, but in a real one. She started choosing differently. Slowing down. Protecting her peace. Focusing on stability instead of constant visibility. She stepped away from the chaos that once defined her life and built something more sustainable, something real. Her career didn't end. It changed. She became more selective, more intentional, choosing roles that mattered instead of chasing attention. And slowly, she returned, not as the same person the world once knew, but as someone stronger, clearer, and more grounded. Today, she's still here, not as the untouchable image people once believed in, but as something far more powerful, a real person, someone who faced something invisible and chose to fight it openly, every single day. Her story isn't about perfection. It's not about fame. It's not even about success. It's about resilience, about what it means to keep going when no one can see what you're carrying. She didn't just build a career. She rebuilt herself, again and again. And maybe that's what makes her story different. Not the awards, not the spotlight, but the honesty, the courage to say, I'm not okay, and the strength to keep moving forward anyway.